One of these days we're going to play Name That Bumper music. How many can do that right now? I wonder if Congressman John Shimkus can do that. I don't even know if he's a big music fan. You know that piece of bumper music, Congressman?
Isn't that Bach's Fifth Symphony?
No, he's trying. It's rock and roll. We don't play classical music on the bumper music.
There's no classical music left. Oh, yeah, it is on HD, but it's lost the airwaves.
Yeah, sorry, but that's the Jay Giles Band. Just can't wait. Peter Wolf on the vocals.
That's my era a little bit.
I know it is. That's why I thought maybe you would know it.
Yeah, I'm really square.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm not going to comment on that. How are you?
I'm great. Fine, thanks. Sorry I missed you yesterday. You caught me working and I couldn't get out.
Yeah, we had you originally scheduled, and I understand that these things come up. We got through the afternoon. You're back in the district now?
I am. I've been in Springfield all morning, so I'm back on the interstate heading back to the Metro East.
All right. Well, if I'm not mistaken, this repeal of health care reform a couple of days ago came in a way where the votes were significantly higher for the repeal than it was when it passed in the first place, wasn't it?
This is, as someone who taught government history, and I would never claim to be an expert, but I would challenge anyone to look in the history of this country to see a major legislation enactment of law that was so roundly rejected by a vote by Congress. I mean, the vote to pass this law was 10 months ago, and there was more votes to repeal it than pass it. I think when people look at this, it's such, obviously soundly rejected, but it also speaks up to the power of the people who changed Congress.
You know, it really is amazing when you think about it. And here's what's frustrated me. It has to frustrate you, Congressman, because when you hear all the media coverage that I heard this week on CNN and NBC News, it was, well, they repealed health care, but it doesn't have a chance in the Senate, so it's just symbolic. That's what we heard over and over again.
Well, I mean, it's really, again, looking at the public who changed the House of Representatives. It's the same public now who will put pressure on the Senate to do something, at least have a vote. And I would expect them to turn their attention to the Senate, and we know the players who are there, and see if something will be done. Now, who will be the party of no now? I think
good question.
Harry Reid will be the party of no.
Well, why? Yeah, because he doesn't even want to bring it up for a vote, right?
No vote. Oh, we do call it no vote.
Yeah.
Until the public forces it, and we'll see what these folks who helped change the House, we'll see if they're still as riled up and fired up as we think they will be, and put pressure on the Senate.
Now, this is something else that comes up. Party of no ideas. The Republicans don't have anything. President's repeated this. A lot of pundits have repeated this. Congressman Clay, God bless him and God love him, has repeated this. You guys don't have any ideas. But if I'm not mistaken, yesterday there were some bills filed where you're trying to, I know there are ideas, John, but there's some ideas out there, right?
Well, you bet. I mean, we all know that everyone should have at least major medical and insurance package. This whole issue is how do you pay? That's the issue. And everyone should have some catastrophic health coverage, whether that's through their employer or individually. If they can't afford it, then the government should be helpful. The hospitals and the providers, are being underpaid by the national government on Medicare and Medicaid, and they're also consuming a lot of compassionate care costs, which means they're providing care for no coverage. So let's get them coverage. Let's don't rebuild a system that still is the greatest healthcare system in the world.
What do you think if Senator Reid continues to, and he probably will, refuses to go forward with a vote, and even if he would have a vote, it might be something that in the end would fail. So then what's the options? Just to sort of tick away at it?
Well, yeah, we will. I mean, there's some provisions. The easy one where they'll get to the president's desk is this 1099 provision. We've talked about numerous times.
Now, let's explain that a little bit, because businesses are very concerned about that, right?
Yeah, because where it's different than current law is this is an accumulation of goods or services that when you get to a level of $600. So assume my son's cutting grass, and he decides to go to the same gas station to buy gas throughout the spring, summer, and fall, and he accumulates over $600 of gasoline purchases. Then my son would have to provide to the gas station a 1099 form. That's just a kid cutting grass. Now look at a small business. I would always define that as less than 15 employees, and them trying to, for any good or services, when they reach $600, providing the 1099. This is costs about, the revenue generated to the federal government would be $11.5 billion, and that's where you get the 10,000 new IRS employees to enforce this 1099 provision. And what it really does is get the IRS into the books to make sure that these businesses are doing their rights and responsibilities under the new law, full-time employees and full-time equivalents.
Do you think that if you go after that, I don't think you'd have trouble passing that in the House. Could that pass the Senate, and would the president sign it?
Yes. The
think
president
so.
Will be forced. The president will have to sign it. It will pass the Senate. It'll definitely get out of the House soon. I don't know the time frame. It's a Ways and Means jurisdiction issue, but I believe that they would have that in the first month.
So that could happen. Will it happen retroactively to last year?
Well, what it would do is it would stop. See, the implementation is January, so it would be for they're supposed to be doing it now under the new law, so then you would not have to do it for the next filing of your income tax return. It wouldn't be for this year.
Okay. Hey, how about Congressman Ryan getting that response after State of the Union on Tuesday? That's pretty cool.
Well, you know him well. He's one of our bright, shining stars, and I'll just tell you, and I told you this story, I don't know if we did it on air, when we were successful and we were still in the minority, but we see the majority, he and I were talking about the entitlement programs that are really the national debt, and he has young kids. He's doing this for the right reasons for his kids and the future, and so he's going to be making some tough calls, looking at his kids as he's trying to reform and get us out of this crisis, this indebtedness that we have. So we're all very proud of him, and he's got a lot of work to do.
I retweeted something earlier today on Twitter from someone who posted this. The lefty criticism of Paul Ryan comes down to this: oh my God, he wants to save America from financial ruin. Because how do you criticize someone for that?
You can't.
And even if you don't like exactly the way he's going about it, and I think he's brought some liberals around, even Ezra Klein at the Washington Post, saying, hey, here's the ideas, let's get the conversation going, especially on the entitlements, and you know that.
Right, and really the Debt Commission, when it came up and said, hey, we need to address the easiest one, which is Social Security, and here are the things we can do, is stuff that Senator Moynihan, the late Senator Moynihan from New York, mentioned 15 years ago. I remember when I started getting involved in watching national policy. It's stuff that we know we can do. We should get at it, and if we address one of the debt drivers, that eases pressure off the other ones, and maybe it provide confidence for us that we can tackle the other ones.
All right. Well, enjoy the weekend. You're not a Bears fan, are you?
Well, I'm a St. Louisan, so
I know, but I didn't know if you crossed over to
I don't go all the way up, but I'm not a Packer fan. You got to be kidding me. So
I'm a Packers fan.
I've got to stay loyal to Illinois. I know that. All right. Any team that plays outside up north, they've got my, they've got my support.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate it. Have a good weekend, and maybe we'll talk to you after the State of the Union.
Okay.
Almost
Bye, Mark.
State of the State. Congressman John Shimkus this afternoon.